Hey everybody, Norm over here. Wacky Wednesday, and I've got my buddy Jonathan Stout,
Hey.
the greatest. And Jonathan is the main proponent of 30 swing guitars. I think, for my money, he's the best in the world, and he's a little humble, so I'm going to tell you for him. And he came in today, and I'm torturing him with some stuff that I've had stashed for years. I've always loved these archtop acoustic guitars because they'll never be able to make stuff like this ever again. And this is one that I know you're going to dig.
Let's see
Why don't we open that up? And
I love this case.
Ooh, wow.
This is a beautiful 1928 dot neck Gibson L-5. This is the Rolls Royce of 1928, and these guitars, specifically from these years, are just renowned as some of the greatest acoustic guitars of all time, up there with, you know, the great pre-war Martin triple O's and OMs and stuff, and not just jazz players like Eddie Lang, but people like Mother Maybelle Carter used one, and this is very close to Mother Maybelle's.
so it works for country, for jazz, for swing, all that.
It's great for fingerstyle, ragtime, whatever. But these are just extraordinary, and the bummer is this was the sweet spot, because before that, the first gen of these had like a much thicker neck, kind of a baseball bat. Sometimes they could be playable, but sometimes maybe not so much. But they really hit their stride when they thinned the neck out to be like a more contemporary profile, and the tops were carved perfect, the braces were perfect. But in about 32 or so, the years are hard to say, they put the block inlays on them, and right around then they ended up cheaping out, and they started kerfing the braces, like putting slits in it and bending them into shape and then putting a little strip on top instead of carving them perfectly. And those aren't the same. And I'm lucky that they made some block neck L5s
transitional.
They were transitional, that were built like a dot on the inside, and one of which I bought here, which is a beautiful 1932 that I love. But a dot is a dot is a dot. These are the Rolls Royce, the Ferrari, the whatever, what have you.
And the condition of this one is spectacular. And the very first L5s were 16 inches like this.
Wow, look at
and
that.
then they went to 17 in, what year, around 34 or something?
Yeah, 34. But you know what? They did this silly thing where when they upsized them, they X-braced them. And my personal theory is that those were great guitars, but as far as the job they were there to do, being a big band guitar playing loud, they weren't as good. And so Epiphone really took over and had the lead up until about somewhere 38, 39. Gibson switched back to parallel bracing, but they kept the big guitars. They also stole the idea of Epiphone of going to long scale, so 25.5, like classic Fender scale. And those things are massive. I mean,
And Epiphone was a separate company at that time, and then Gibson acquired them and started doing, their equivalent models, and then later on they were their export guitars.
Would that we could all take over our rivals and then make them be the second B brand for us. That's
Well, that's one way to kill the competition.
Exactly.
Anyhow, come on out, let's play this thing.
Let's go.
All right.
Ready and...
Hey everybody, Norm over here, and I've got my buddy Jonathan Stout, and I've tortured him today because I pulled a few things out of my warehouse that are right up his alley. I've always loved these archtop acoustic guitars. Some they'll never be able to build quite like that ever again.
This is like the equivalent of like every other rock guitar player, and you start pulling out bursts.
Yeah.
Like this is the bursts of the acoustic archtop world. L5s of every stripe, acoustic that is, are usually my jam. But I just looked at a late 40s one that was like killing rhythm guitar and killing just big swing guitar, and then this is the big daddy, a dot neck L5. And
actually it's the little daddy because it's a 16-inch L5, which the very first L5s were 16 inches.
Yeah.
Then they went to 17.
Yeah, no, well, so the Mac Daddy, let's say. How about that? Is that better? But yeah, these are, dot neck L5s are revered the world over as just some of the greatest acoustic guitars ever built. Besides jazz guitar players, people like Eddie Lang, Mother Maybelle Carter.
This is very similar to Mother Maybelle's.
Yeah, and I know there's a lot of hazards, wizardry in dating these, because there was Spawn system, and then there's this system, and then maybe they revised them. But this is a classic Type 2 Dot, which means it wasn't the first run with the kind of clubby necks and sometimes a birch back. This is sort of the ideal one, which maybe is a 29 to 30, maybe depending on who you ask.
Right.
Maybe his latest
the Lloyd
32.
Lore was what, 24?
Yeah, 23, 24.
Yeah.
So I actually think they hit their stride in this middle period before they put the block inlays on. Although there's still some block inlay ones that are constructed like a Dot, which is the best value. And like the one I got here that I have at home has a block neck, but still has the same construction. But you know, a really good Dot's like it's the burst of the acoustic archtop world.
One of the old timers, they wanted these 16-inch L-5s.
Yeah, and you know what's crazy? A bunch of the studio cats, you know, they would have all sorts of different modern guitars. People like Barney Kessel or Tommy Tedesco or whatever. You know, they would always have an acoustic L5, and actually Barney had two. And I've seen him, and they had right here. They had his social security number engraved on the back, which is a very different world. But yeah, those were like killing. So there's probably Beach Boys records that have acoustic L5s on them.
Absolutely, because those guys were the guys that they brought in. And they were the insurance guys that you knew you were going to get a take if you had Barney Kessel or people like that. And I think Bruce Foreman has one of Barney's guitars.
Well, he's got the Barney guitar, the Electric 350. But you know, the funny thing is, Barney had that defining ES 350 with the Charlie Christian pickup that he played pretty much his whole career. It got, you know, messed up, and he would get it fixed and whatever.
I think Jack Willock did a whole bunch of work.
But that was his guitar. But on a studio date, yoink, he'd pull out one of these.
And they made a Barney Kessel model, but he rarely used it, which was strange. You know, so.
No. But yeah, these are just amazing instruments. So even somebody that's got like a signature guitar that's like defines them, and it's just one guitar that they played, they still reach for one of these on a studio session because that's what you're going to do for an acoustic guitar. And it could do flat top stuff, it could do arch top stuff, you could do finger style. My buddy Eric Schoenberg up in the Bay Area is, you know, great finger style player, and he loves these. Like lots of people love these guitars, not just jazz folks, but of course jazz folks like me love these most of all.
Well, one thing is, people that watch our videos when I'm with you and we're talking, basically most of the time they're going, Norm, will you shut up and let John play? So that's what I'm going to do. Show us what this thing does.
Awesome. You know what? I might do one or two things just to see what happens. But this is such a beautiful guitar. I feel like playing something pretty on it's the way to go. So here's a little bit of body and soul.
Beautiful. And so what else? To show us the other side of this guitar.
So these things bark, believe it or not. You wouldn't think that they're so pretty and beautiful, but let's see. How about a little bit of Get Out and Get Under the Moon? I can't remember if I've done that here, but that's a great tune.
Jonathan Stout. Thank you guys. Thanks for watching our videos. You can really learn something when we got guys like this coming in. Thank you so much. It's always a treat.
The treat is mine, especially when you offer stuff like this.
All right. Thank you guys for watching our videos. We love you, and I hope you enjoy what we try to bring to you. Hey, Will.